So what I'm doing now is I'm wetting the sky area, and I'd just like to say a big thank you to Karen from my Patreon membership who actually suggested this tutorial. So I hope you enjoy it. And what I'm doing now is I'm wetting the sky area with my large brush. I've mixed up some Paynes grey and violet and some violet on its own. And I'm starting at the top of the sky, and I've actually got my board on a slight tilt as well. It sort of helps the paint to run down nicely. And I'm really loading that brush. It's a size 10 round brush. I'm working my way down to the horizon line, painting wet into wet. The reason why the paint isn't running onto the tree is I didn't wet the tree. So areas that you don't wet, the paint won't run into. So there's no need for masking fluid here. So I'm just sort of carefully using the tip of my brush and the paint that's already on the paper and just sort of painting into the branches of the tree there. Using a number 4 round brush here with a mixture of forest green and Paynes grey, but you could use Viridian and black if you wanted to. And I'm painting wet into wet, the sort of very distant trees. So all of these marks I'm painting here will become quite fuzzy, and it just gives the illusion of distant trees. And as I work on, I'm going to make that paint slightly creamier, and the paper will dry off a little bit. There'll still be a sheen on the paper, and I'll actually paint some of those trees damp into damp using thin line in the middle to show the trunk of the tree, and then sort of painting either side of it damp into damp to create the look of these fir trees. So as you can see, I didn't exactly copy the photograph, but I've made a lovely forest back there, sort of adding a little bit more green as well to sort of brighten up the colours. I think it's a good time to allow my painting to dry. Once the painting is dry, I'm using this size 4 brush and just painting the sort of the top of the tree here with just a thin line and then start using this size 4 brush with a mixture of that forest green with the Paynes grey. But as I say, you can use a green and a black, or even use a blue and lots of blue with a touch of yellow to make a dark green. And I'm just painting wet on dry now some of the marks of the fir tree at the top here to create the lovely texture of those branches there. As you can see, I'm just literally stippling with my brush, and just say to yourself, less is more. Don't sort of try to do too much. I've now swapped to a bristle brush. I use this for oil painting, and I'm mixing the same two colours. I'm using my paper towel to dab off so there's not too much paint on the brush. But a bristle brush is quite nice because you can create textures. So I'm tapping onto the dry watercolour paper with this light greener colour. So I've added a little bit of phthalo green light to the forest green here, and it's quite a nice sort of lighter green colour. And I will then add a little bit more forest green and Paynes grey to paint on shadows later. If you don't have this bristle brush, don't worry. It's just another sort of way of creating this texture. You can use the side of your brush and use some dry brush technique as well, or carry on as I was doing at the top, stippling with your brush as well. But it's fun to do. Just finishing off with a few more darks there, sort of tapping on damp into damp, and I'm going to allow my painting to dry. Once your painting is dry, you can paint that shadow to the left there. I'm using ultramarine with a touch of the violet and a tiny touch of Paynes grey just to make it more of a shadow colour. So I'm painting this wet on dry with my size 10 brush. I'm just adding a little bit more dark just underneath the tree there to the left, just a little bit of a stronger cast shadow, adding a little bit more of the Paynes grey, painting damp into damp directly under the tree. There are some footsteps in the snow, so I'm using that shadow colour with the tip of my size 10 brush, painting wet on dry these footsteps, and they're just going to get a little bit paler and a bit smaller as they go off into the distance. I'm using a bouquet technique, using a circular stencil with a magic sponge. You can use an ordinary sponge. It's damp and it's clean, and I'm lifting off the paint there. Just using this circle stencil as a guide. So there's a lovely moon in the sky here. Just using my paper towel to lift off more. If you want to know more about this technique, check out the links in the description below. I've produced lots of fun videos there. So I've actually included, this is not in the photograph, just a little cardinal bird. I've also produced a lovely video of a close-up of a cardinal bird. If anyone's interested in that, a link for that can be found in the description below. But I've just sort of drawn a really small basic sort of shape there and just painting it red and keeping it really simple. I think it's a good time to allow my painting to dry again. I've watered down some white gouache. I'm using my size 10 brush and I'm spattering white gouache onto the dried surface. I've watered down the gouache slightly. You may want to cover up other areas just in case you get this white paint on it, but it's good fun to do. Again, it's a good time to dry the painting. I'm using my size 6 brush here and just painting the snow on the branches here. Haven't watered down down the white as much here. It's quite creamy. I really want it to stand out and look very Christmassy. You can actually paint the snow on the branches before you spatter as well. You can see there I'm taking off some of the excess paint on my paper towel so the paint's not too wet. I'm using the side of my brush and just sort of scrubbing to create texture as well. As you saw there, I gave the painting another little spatter. If you've got some blobs that you don't like, just lift them off with a paper towel. So I'm going to allow my painting to dry yet again, and I am removing the washi tape, and it's going to reveal a lovely white border for the card, which is quite nice to present your work this way as well. So as you can see, it's coming off really nicely there. And actually the tape looks quite festive as well. So here is the finished card. I'm really pleased with it. I really hope it inspires you to paint a Christmas card. This one was lovely and simple with lots of fun techniques as well. And I'm going to sign my little card as well. Thank you to Philip on YouTube for pointing that out. And I must say, it does finish off the painting nicely. If you have any questions about this tutorial, please put them in the comments section below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You'll get updates of my latest videos. For those of you that want to learn more about watercolour, why not think about joining my Patreon membership? Details about that can be found on the screen or in the description below. Thank you again for watching. Happy painting. Bye for now.